enough credit. I sat back and I surveyed over the last 6 months and 9 months. Don't ask me why I picked it. I just picked these random months. Experiences I had been faced with. And your boy here is good for putting down a pencil and a pad to really map out those thoughts. It's something about writing it down that kind of just makes it, I don't know, maybe that's just old school. I used to see my great grandmother get her notepad and write her bills and all that stuff out. So I don't know, maybe it came from that. But when I saw some of the shit that I had been faced with and that I had did, I looked at my reaction. That's the key thing, because we're all going to be faced with shit. But I looked at my reaction and I was able to see so much freaking growth. Where just 6 months ago, a year ago, I would have acted and responded completely different. And I think the way that I've handled situations have been, I don't know, the way that a king would be. I wanted to model myself as a pharaoh, as a king. And I'm all about, I'm this urban mystic, this mystic living in the urban city, experiencing all kind of ghetto hell and situations and still rising above. I looked at a lot of situations where I was faced that could have, you know, put me in shit that I would still be dealing with now. I could be in trouble. And in a lot of cases, I learned that a lot of shit is bait. Okay. And I talk about that. Y'all should subscribe, but I talk about that in my other videos, how I learned that in security and working in corrections, how people will bait you or do things to incite you to respond in a way that will cause you more trouble than the reaction that you experience there. Because you got to look into a lot of situations and just really see how you respond. And I had to, while I'm most of the time beating myself up and not giving, and I'll definitely say that I don't give myself enough credit. Me being in situations where I'm having people say all kinds of disrespectful things to me, people not just not being nice, people seeking to be vindictive or cause ill or misfortune or cause discomfort in my life, and how I just handled it like a king. And I know people are gonna be like, well, yeah, it's a limit to shit, and there is. But when I learned of what I've gained, because I learned, like, if I took steps and made the wrong choice, I definitely wouldn't be in a predicament where I'm looking for an apartment. You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't be in a predicament where I'm celebrating and seeing and how can I continue building good credit. I wouldn't be here shooting a video. So why would I sacrifice things that do something for me or are important for me? And the message behind this is that a lot of things are getting us bent out of shape. And I'm gonna put it in perspective. It's folks that's went from getting ready to plan for college to plan how they gonna get out of jail. And that's real. Some people were planning how they're gonna purchase a house to planning how they're gonna afford to put food on the table and get a job. And it's all in choices. And I'm not trying to be religious, but it's all in this spiritual story of being tricked out of your birthright. And I've seen and I've faced so many situations where I could be tricked out of my birthright, which is abundance, which is growth and expansion over nothing. And I have to pat myself on the back because it comes from Qigong. It comes from meditation. It comes from the work that I've been putting in, the spiritual work that I've been employing. It's been coming from doing that. To be at poise, because a lot of these works, whether you believe in them or not, in general, you know, against popular belief, but in general, these methods are about maintaining your peace in a storm. And this world and most of everything in it is chaos. This is chaos. It's all kind of random shit. Every damn person walking around here is living their own reality. That's why everybody thinks they're the shit. Everybody thinks they're a baddie, and everybody's not a baddie. You know, everybody just think that they're just that rapper, and they shouldn't be rapping. They should be designing women's shoes, but they don't want to follow the passion and where they would be best suited. So yeah, we got a dog. I told y'all animals love me, and look at this. We got another dog that said walk up on me. Hey, buddy. Hey, hey, buddy. They all dogs. But people don't believe me when I tell them the dog whisperer. Dogs always roll up on me. So I'm just like super proud of the discipline that I've exhibited, and in practicing some of these practices and things that the kings and the pharaohs practice, I'm not 100% there, and I'm probably a long way from there, but I am learning certain aspects of my character and my behavior being molded and being molded from a wild or untamed man to a man that thinks about and looks at situations with multiple angles, because what kind of saved me in these situations was I was able to look at them in multiple angles and not just one angle. And I think a lot of people walking around are so reactory, and or we can put it in street terms, they're used to playing checkers and not used to playing chess about things, um, which is a whole nother video, which I've noticed like I've gained um, just a newfound level of maturity, and it's been really really good to see that, because it saved me. And I'm not saying you got to meditate and you got to be acting a certain way, but when you start harmonizing your energy, it makes you aware of other energy around you. And you know, a lot of times, you ever see when you know um, in the movies, like when there's the big boss and somebody on the street yells something, very rarely will he stop and just immediately go and engage straight up. More often than not, they keep walking and somebody else handles it. And because at that time, a person knows, you need to know and apply this in a lot of situations for yourself. You need to freaking know and be very watchful if someone's trying to play you out of a character that's not you. Be very watchful. I can say this is that the more you internalize and the more you harmonize your energy, be very aware that in the process, things around you may get a little bit more chaotic. But being honest and know that if you've worked on yourself, you're able to stand your ground and hold your space in those moments. And a lot of people just get cracked when shit come, because you're just going from battle to battle, and you're not recharging. You're not building up your energy. You're not putting in any kind of work. You're just expecting to go from battle and bout. Even boxers, when they fight, they have recovery times and times that they study and manage things. And that's kind of um, what I've been using. I've been using strategy in what I do. I've been being aware that when there's a disturbance outside of me, what does it really deserve from me? And is it worth it? Like that person is one, is it worth it for me to even stop Is it worth for me to even turn? Is it worth for me to even look at? Because it's no fun. Just put it like this: if you got some chickens in the pen, it's really nothing to observe. If you just had like some chickens, or just say you had a dog and it just sat there and just legitimately did nothing. They have their moments of play and that they do something. And what's more entertaining, the dog hopping around on its hind legs or the chicken running all over the place? That's more um, entertaining than just the chicken standing in the corner. And you don't realize that not only being tricked out of your shit, you got things being thrown in your path that you're responding to that are keeping you running, that are keeping you on a wheel, that are keeping you from focusing on building that life that you want to build. Man, I can't never find time yet because you're addressing everything. And I think in the culmination of how I face a lot of situations where I could have been tricked out of my birthright, what I deserve is discipline and being aware and analyzing things. It's okay to size up things. Is this really worth it? A lot of shit you're going to find if you just ask yourself, is this really worth it, will save you from a lot of shit. I worked as a correction officer. There's some folks that wish they would have asked themselves that question. I will talk to some of the guys locked up. I say, hey, if you had an opportunity to say, was it worth what you did versus what happened? Most 99.9% of them say no. It was. They say it wasn't worth it. And if they'd have asked themselves that question, they probably wouldn't have did it. But they sitting there and got years. That's how it ran. Folks they thought had their back, but didn't really have their back. So my people, be aware. Be aware, especially if you got goals and shit that you working on. See, a lot of shit I had until I kind of made up in my mind I wanted to get shit together. It wasn't until then when I started expecting shit. When I started having this different shit pop up. And then that's where the test came. Like, okay, how is he going to respond? How is he going to respond? See, a lot of folks, and especially in the woke and the conscious community, y'all want to say king and God and beloved, but y'all act like and queen, but you act like none other. You don't respond like a queen. Like I was telling people, like, everybody want to get caught up in the facts and in the history and shit, and like, okay, what, ain't nobody really, like, the real work coming is what the hell were they doing? You know, yeah, Queen Nefertiti was a powerful king. Yeah, Mansa Musa was the richest man on the earth. But what the hell was he doing? Do you think he was responding to every little bullshit statement that every hater said? Do you think he was? How do you think these people were behaving? Nobody want to ask that question because that requires a lot of us to fix our behavior. And that's why I said I'm glad of seeing the maturity, because old me would have been doing 10 times worse. Old me would have handled these situations and would have been tricked out of my birthright. Younger me, non-meditating, non-qigong, focused me would have handled this in a way that wasn't healthy. It wouldn't have been the best the best outcome for me. That's also side quest in there too, is that to take care of your damn self, work on yourself, because shit out here ain't getting no better. Same shit going on, everybody. So yeah, I'm very proud about how I handled myself in these past few months, and they've set me up to see that I've grown. And putting on the behavior of a king. If we're saying we're a king, a queen, a boss, or whatever you're saying you are, think about the behavior, not just the title. Because the title sounds cool and empowering and all of that shit. But if you talking about you a queen and you around here acting like a peasant, carrying on like a peasant, you need to check yourself. And Many times in my past, I should have definitely been checking myself because I was claiming a lot of shit that I wasn't acting like. Um, I was embracing a lot of things. A lot of us that are into spirituality and meditation and metaphysics, we want to sit up and talk about chakras and shit, but your behavior is nothing like a damn chakra. It's nothing about peace and balance. Um, and because beyond the sayings and how shit sounds, I always point to behavior. You know, um, we and I always that's been my marker for research and discovery. Was I'm like, okay, so why wouldn't they sitting around worried about light bill? Why wouldn't they sitting about worried about rent? Where I have feeling with rent, I didn't hear nothing about rent in the hieroglyphics. I missed that one. So my quest becomes, what were they doing? What were their behaviors? What were they doing on a daily basis to not be worried with such a thing? How is that even possible? And it leads you into the research area, and it leads you into the growth area, because as you learn, hopefully you apply, you grow. And uh, my spirit's just been calm, and my spirit's just on that of accomplishment. um, I know a lot of people, with some of the things I faced with would have crumbled, would have been in other situations. I encourage you to look at little steps and moves that you make, that they extend beyond just that moment. And a quote that my uncle used to always say is, you never want to risk a lot for a little. Never want to risk a lot for a little. And I'm not saying this is for anybody that's got it all together. If you trying to get it all together, I done seen people trying to get shit together and get knocked off track. When you try to get shit together, that's when people lock in. That's when the shit goes down. And if you don't have a level of focus or something built up within you to withstand all these onslaughts that you're gonna you may encounter as you're getting it together, you're gonna crack. Seek to enrich your character. That's really what I'm taking from this. My character's been enriched. I need a little bit more enrichment to go. I still want to cuss folks out from time to time. It happens. Make folks make you scratch your head. That should be a whole nother video. But seek to enhance your character. Whatever you take pride in, ask yourself, what would a champion be doing? A real champion, not a flexer. I'm talking about a real champion. You working in athletics, you want to be in athletics, what would a champion be doing? He'd be practicing. We'll be hanging out in front of the damn liquor store. What would, if Steve Jobs, rest in peace, if Steve Jobs were alive, you want to build a tech company, ask yourself, what would Steve Jobs be doing? He wouldn't be on Facebook posting about it every 5 minutes. He'd be actually taking the moves. He wouldn't be at Free Before 11. He missed the club for a few years so he can get that business right. And we got to start really embracing and going after what the freak is, the character of what we want to be and what we want to do. And I asserted my statement as a pharaoh, and I'm not all the way there, but I am moving there, and I am seeing the growth of being faced with just all kind of bullshit in these past 9 months, and responded to them in a way that a pharaoh and a king would, which was really, really good for me. Really, really good for me. You know, I'm seeing the growth, and I'm gonna continuously grow. And that's what you should be seeking to. Seek to grow your character. If you know this and that get under your skin, nip that shit in the bud, like we say in the South. Nip that shit in the bud. You ain't got time, to be honest with you. You trying to do so freaking much. You ain't got time for all this bullshit. You trying to build a business. You trying to change your life. You trying to rebuild your life. You ain't got time for all this bullshit. You trying to meditate. You trying to balance your energy. You trying to create an inner peace for yourself. You don't have time to be dealing with this shit every 5 minutes. So you better power up so you have a better way of dealing with it. And take note of your growth. Like I said, I'm quick to complain and not give myself enough credit to take notice of your growth. I have really grown in these last 6 months, these last 9 months. I'm talking about character and behavior changes. There has been a change. And while we want to point out all the things we're not getting right, these are some of the things that we do want to, you know, pay attention to. We really want to pay attention to what's going on in our life and what challenges that we have above us and what ways we can deal with them and how people we admire. And I'm not just saying everybody got to be a king or a pharaoh or none of that shit. Yeah, I don't care. You mark what you look to be success for you and ask yourself, is this how this type of person, you want to be a minister? Is this how a real minister would be acting? Is this what a real person would be? Is this what a real leader says to their team? We don't think about that shit. Y'all want the title, but y'all don't want the behavior. You know, y'all want the title and all the alphabets behind your name, but you ain't acting nothing like a doctor. You ain't acting nothing like a minister. You acting like a clown, and that's cool. Because some people aspire to be clowns. If you aspire to be a clown, I still love you. You can aspire and be the biggest clown. If you're going to be a clown, be a good damn clown. But don't sit out here talking about you a boss, you a king, you a pharaoh, and all these ancient god deity names. You don't act shit like none of these Egyptian deities. Actual opposite, you know. And wise up to y'all that are being fooled by this shit. You can name yourself anything. What, you can change your damn Facebook name every 14 days. Shit, in 14 days, my name could be Bugs Bunny. That don't mean I'm hopping around here getting carrots and getting royalties and shit. It's behavior. Everybody wants the title. Everybody wants the name. Everybody wants the surface shit, but no one wants the behavior. Everybody want to be in the NBA, but don't nobody want to go to a gym on a Friday or Saturday night like a LeBron James and train. You know, y'all don't want to spend no money. You know, y'all wouldn't even spend $50 to get the NBA. These cats spending hiring a nutritionist and all this shit. Want the title, they want the glitz and the glam, but don't want the behavior. And I'm learning now that I'm embracing this friggin' behavior, and I'm proud of myself. I keep giving myself a pat on the back. I've been tested these last 6-9 months, and I have been passing these tests with flying colors. I will continuously. I realize that I have much more to lose. You see what I'm saying? I have many more places to go. And I'm reflecting over myself is that I find myself sometimes or have found myself fighting over little anthills. See, we try to just, as I talked about in another video, you all should subscribe because you'll get the pieces of the other portions of things I've talked about, is that we're used to just being in this mode of taking what we can get. And I'm tired of sitting and fighting over little anthills. I said I work hard. I have too good of a heart. I feel I deserve the best. I'm not going to flex or shy from anything. Is that manifest for me? Great. You know, I'm not going to go crazy. But yeah, I do deserve the best. I have a good ass heart. I want to do some good ass things for people. I want to change lives. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those people that just wants to be famous. I'd love to secretly make $1 million a month and still be able to go to the grocery store. You know, shit like that. But look for your behavior. Look to corner your behavior, and don't be ashamed to give yourself a pat on the back. You know we all deserve that time to time because we are critical. I'm critical of myself, but we deserve this. We deserve this. You know, you deserve to grow and you deserve more. Stop fighting over these anthills. Take note of your growth. Take pride in your growth. Don't let these folks trick you out of your birthright. Keep going.